time I went fishing. I was 3 years old. I remember it like it was yesterday. I didn't know what my dad did. I just know he left for work every day, and when he came home at night, he was covered in salt and scales, fish scales, and I didn't even know what a fish scale was, but they were all over his shirt, his pants, his belt. I remember chewing on his belt when I was a baby because it had salt on it. And it felt good in my mouth when I was teething. I swear, I remember all this like it was yesterday. I know it's hard to think that you remember this stuff when you're a little kid, but I do. 3 years old, sitting on the counter. We're going on the afternoon trip with my dad. And my mom putting my shoes on. I am sitting on the counter telling me we're going fishing with my dad. He was running the Some Fun off the pier, and the boat was tying up to the pier, and I was sitting on the rail with my mom holding me. And she's saying, "That's your dad." And him coming out on the back of the boat and him waving at me and saying, "Hi, David." Oh, I had no idea this was going to hit me this hard. But yeah, I'm 60 years old, and I remember it like it was right now. And then we went to go down the ramp and get on the boat. It was incredible, and that was it. I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to fish.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the show. What a great way to start the show. I am fired up. We got all kinds of stuff happening today. We got Daniel Rubin joining us. He's in the museum checking out some stuff in there. We got the young man that won the trip that we gave away at the Bass Pro Shops. He's out fishing today, Cooper Berg, and his buddy caught himself a big halibut this morning. We're going to show you that. We're going to show you all about all the people that have caught fish this week and share with you what's going on. We got Daniel sitting here at ReelQuick hanging out.
Hey, good morning, you guys.
Good morning, buddy. We're going to check in with you in a few minutes here. We're just going to show everybody what's happening out here on the water. All right.
Very good.
All right. So
very good. Say hello.
Gang, we got all kinds of stuff happening. We got a great game plan. If you haven't checked it out at our website with all the great things that are going on, the sea bass are making a reappearance up at the Channel Islands. The bluefin are biting out at the Cortez Bank. It's kind of like limit style fishing out there. It's a long ways to go on our private boats, but if you can go on a sport boat, I would definitely suggest doing that. But my goodness, there's just so much going on. Look at this. I just want to show you guys something. So we have quite a few guys fishing this week, catching quite a few fish. And there you go. Jesse took group over to Santa Cruz Island and got into the whitefish full speed. It was absolutely phenomenal whitefish fishing. And they had a good time, caught some halibut and some sheephead and stuff like that. But that was just one of the pictures that's on our website, yoursaltwaterguide.com, showing what he caught. Then look at this. Larry, he's a good friend and a great member. He was out fishing with his dog out at the Isers Reef, where he loves to fish. Had really good sand bass, calico bass fishing on Isers Reef. Very, very good fishing. We look over here at John Stanley, and they didn't have a lot of time to go hooping. They only got to make 2 sets. They caught a bunch of shorts, and then they caught this really nice spotted bay bass in the hoop net, which was pretty cool. I was pretty stoked to read all about that and see what they caught. We got Al was down at the Coronados fishing rockfish with a charter, and he had just phenomenal rockfish fishing and good lingcod fishing. Everybody caught a nice ling. It was just very, very good fishing. You got to watch that live on our show last Saturday after we went live with the morning briefing and what was happening on the water. Then you got to see Captain Al catching that nice grade of rockfish and a handful of lingcod. Then look at our buddy Matt Ryan. He called me up, wanted to go hoop netting before he went on his vacation to go watch someone get married. And I told him where to go. And look at that, 12 legals, 2 guys, 12 legals. They got beautiful quality of lobsters there. And then we got Jeffrey. Look at you, Jeff. Quality rockfish on the Clemente, fishing out on the 14-mile bank in just the most beautiful weather you could possibly have to fish in. It was just an absolute spectacular week. I hope some of you got out there and got to fish this, because it was just an absolute spectacular week. The weather was gorgeous. Fishing was good. I hope some of you got out there and got to enjoy yourselves and catch some fish. Wasn't that spectacular, seeing all those different fish and lobsters out? Or Daniel?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're texting. Yeah. That was a
got
great catch that you just saw, that you just showed. Very good.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. The weather, you sent me some pictures too, and I'm going to put them up here.
Yeah, weather's, it's crazy. The weather's absolutely amazing now with no wind. It's the time to go, and this is when the season kind of slows down, and the people are chartering boats are slowing down. A couple of people have already ended their season, and now is like the best weather you can get, right? We haven't had a wind slow down all summer up here in the Channel Islands.
Yeah, well, you can't beat it. Indian summer, we called it back in the day, and it you can't beat it. It was just absolutely spectacular weather. It looks like we got another week of great weather. So
yeah, no rain for 10 days, though. That's no rain for at least 10 days, they're saying.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, with plenty of swell in Santa Ana, so we can go get some waves.
So where are you at?
I'm in Oxnard, California. I'm at Steve's house, my partner in ReelQuick. We're at, he's got this man cave. We're going to show you guys a little bit of it today. I've been piecing it out. There's hours of viewing and questions and talk about. I mean, there's so many reels. Each one of these reels has, some history.
Right.
Steve, tell me about that top right reel. Just what's the history of the top right?
These are all Kowalski reels. They were made in Hollywood, West Hollywood, by a Model T mechanic who started making fishing reels, and very out of the box. All the designs on the reels, the drag systems, nothing like you see in a typical star drag or even the lever drags today. And these were made for some of the first guys catching tuna here in our local waters. Big reels hold a lot of line. Made out of micarta. Some of the first reels ever made out of that material. Kind of what we use for knife handles today.
Very cool. I have to slow Steve down. He could talk about this stuff for hours and just keep going.
Yeah, well, keep telling us about it. You got a lot of stuff there, Steve. Let's go into it a little bit.
What's the next row down here? What's the next row, Steve?
Well, all these reels were manufactured at different times. The biggest key on these things was this guy's drag system. He took the drag of a Model T car and put it into a fishing reel. So, for instance, this little guy here, we pop this cover off. You'll see basically a pinion with it's literally an asbestos brake pad wrapped around a pinion. And while you're fishing this reel, you can make all the adjustments for drag and tensions and without your hand ever leaving the handle. So really outside the box. Some of these reels back in the day, the larger ones, were about $600 in the 1920s and 1930s. So you can imagine what that reel would cost today. But, back then, you bought one reel, you bought two reels, and you fished them your whole life. They they weren't disposable like the reels of today. All of these things, all the materials that these are made out of were meant to last a lifetime. And the reels had to be big. You know, if you're fishing linen line, which is 4, 5, 10 times the thickness of your modern day Spectras, you needed massive reels to hold that much line. There just was no other way to do it. You know, 1,200 yards on a reel is not unusual on these things. And we've been taking these reels, some of these old ones, we've adapted them to our ReelQuick system. Well, Daniel will show you.
You guys, we had to do it. Steve had to do it. What reel is this, Steve?
So this is a Pfluger Templar. So this was kind of not a super high-end reel, but a very basic reel for somebody fishing in the 1930s. You know, one of the first ball-bearing drag reels, and very efficient. You'll notice on the back of the reel here, still had the old leather drag system. Fishermen were so used to that, they didn't like reels. Even though we had the star drag that would still slow fish down, they were so used to having these things on there, they always would put them on there.
Is that where they told us to keep your thumb off the reel, Dave?
We still use them today in case something fails. If we're fishing, you know, this is obviously linen line. This is 24 thread. So this is about, it would be about 72 pounds if it were wet. But we're probably lucky to get 50 pounds of line strength off of that. And it's like fishing with 30-pound, even though this line is massively thick. It's just, it is what it is, but it's still better than a lot of the stuff that we would find manufactured today.
And that's what
can't make it like they used to.
So, Dave, we adapted this to ReelQuick. How's that?
That's got to blow the guys in the tuna club's mind when you show up with that rigged up like that, right?
Yeah, we've got quite a few guys that have bought these, and of course during benefit auctions and things like that, we'll donate a little bit of gear and get it into those guys' hands that way too. So yeah, there's quite a few of these reels being fished like that, and just as strong as the original connection system. In fact, this is better. This doesn't come loose. The original way these things were put on a reel notoriously came loose because every foot was a little different and every reel seat was a little different, and they never had that perfect connection. In fact, it was Kowalski who made all these reels that was the first guy to kind of have a quick connect where the reel was specific to a rod and would literally snap into place on the rod without any of these extra clamps and things like that.
It's absolutely amazing the amount of things that you have in this, what you call your museum. I want to go over a few of the other products that are things that you have in that case and the jigs. And can you just spend a little bit of time with us going through what you really have there?
Yeah, let me grab a jig. So a big part of the collection are these bone jigs, and what they are essentially are, you know, back in the old day when guys were fishing commercial tuna, you know, they would pull these jigs and catch albacore and other species of tuna. And when they would start the season off, they might put one of these ceremonial type jigs out that has all these inlays in it and kind of start the season off. And then these jigs would kind of be put back away, and they would fish all white ones or all dark ones or what have you, their pattern. But these special ones that you see here on the wall, all through here, these are all the kind of ones that were done specially, and they probably didn't really fish them all that much. You know, you can see ones like this where you have this beautiful abalone on. We got cobwebs on it, but you have beautiful abalone on not only the bottom, but then inlaid on the top, layered. So Zane Gray actually made his own. He had a jeweler that made his. These I think are some of the nicest ones I have in the collection.
I'm coming. Hold on.
So these were made with made out of ironwood, a really super heavy, dense wood. He would inlay the weights he would use these big single hooks. Tuna Club didn't allow the double hooks. So all of his jigs, while he was
Even
in the
back
Tuna
then.
Club, while he was in the club, yeah, he fished these jigs with these big, long hooks, and that's just the way he did them. So those, I think, are some of the most beautiful ones that I have in the collection. They're so well made, and not a lot of them out there.
All these reels are ReelQuick reels now. Going on to, you have a bamboo rod there with the ReelQuick on it, Steve?
Yeah.
There we go. ReelQuick. Modern stuff. Antique on ReelQuick. Here's the rod that this stuff would be going on to. There's your ReelQuick reel seat. And then the bamboo. This is a heavy. What is this? A 24 thread?
Yeah, it's about as heavy as we'll fish.
So their 24 thread is like a 60-pound setup, Steve. 60.
Yeah, I mean we're fishing it. There's not a lot of give in this, but hopefully enough. That's why the bending butt's nice. Between the bending butt, you can get a lot of enough flex on it if you're stand up. And all the fish we catch are obviously stand up.
Yeah, they're doing
anything from the
all stand up. The rail, the rod can't touch the gunnel or the rail of the boat.
Locks in there, and you're ready to rock and roll. No clamp. That's the nicest thing about this. There's no clamp here to get in the way, and obviously it's a solid connection. That's not going to come loose. It's not going to go anywhere. So
is that a split bamboo rod?
Yeah, this is a bamboo rod. Yep.
Show that.
I'll put modern guides on it.
We're making these for Tuna Club, guys. And we're making them for anybody that wants them. Anybody that wants them.
Anybody who's sick enough to want to fish a bamboo rod on these big bluefin, have at it.
Yeah. You guys want to try one of these antique reels? Steve might be able to dig one up for sale too. Kind of cool stuff. Let's show everybody a little bit more of this, Steve. This is
just a collection of different lures and reels. All of these reels, these are lens reels. These come from the Pacific Northwest. They're kind of different. Guys were using these for salmon fishing and such. But again, I always like these reels that have unique drag systems. And this is similar to a Kowalski. You can control all the drag system from within the handle. But just a little something different. Didn't make a lot of these. Don't see them too often. But it's kind of neat and kind of have a clear window to see into the moving mechanisms.
Who made it?
These are made by Lenz, L-E-N-Z. They were, a lot of these fishing reel companies were machine shops that made other things and just happened to make, some fishing reels in their off time. So just endless. Someday I'll get it all organized.
Yeah, kind of. You're just going to add more stuff to it.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Is most of the stuff is in boxes. It's not even displayed.
Yeah, you were talking to me about you have a bunch of pictures and a bunch of videos. Why don't you tell me?
I just finished scanning over 5,000, original Zane Grey photos taken between about 1930 and when he died in 1939. And the most amazing and prolific fishing photos that you've ever seen. Nobody had chase boats in 1920 following them and shooting miles of film in order to capture all of that stuff. So a lot of it nobody's ever seen. A lot of it, almost every photograph that you see in a book, we have that original photograph. And what's really cool about it is on the back of all these photos is Zane Grey's, personal handwriting, annotating what's going on, where the fish was caught, how big. He talks about 1,000-pound swordfish that he lost. He's got pictures of it in the water, but of course he didn't land it. And stuff like that. I don't think anybody's ever seen a lot of these photos.
No, that's pretty dang exciting. I'm excited to see. Somehow we're going to get to see him somewhere.
Oh yeah, we're gonna work that out. We'll be posting stuff, and then Dave, when you're in California, one time you should come up here and check this place out. If you can ever get to Oxnard, we'd love to have you in here and do a show in here. This would be nice.
Yeah,
lots of fun stuff. We're just glancing over all this stuff, and every single thing here has like history, and yeah, it's cool stuff. Just boxes of line. Go ahead,
Steve. Why don't you talk about that linen line for a minute and what it's made out? I think people can't wrap their head around that.
Yeah, so linen line is basically, back in probably from the 1800s to about 1950s. The line of choice was basically cotton line that was typically made in Ireland and then twisted. So they would take so many strands, twist them together it's a big drawn out process, and all these factories burnt down every couple of years because it was so dangerous to make it and volatile flame wise, I guess. But anyhow, these guys would grow flax to a certain height of cotton, and there was a technique of winding all these threads together. So it's not woven, it's actually just twisted, and it will untwist. And you can take these strands, untwist them, and every linen line has a thread count. And for every thread count, it's about 3 pounds of strength when wet. So when we say we're fishing 3 thread, we're really fishing line that's probably close to breaking strength of 8 or 9 pounds when it's wet. The problem is this stuff wasn't made perfect, and there's always an imperfection in it. You never know where the bad spot is until a fish is pulling on it. So, fishing this stuff is really rolling the dice. There's been anytime we can get a big fish, a fish over a couple hundred pounds, over 100 pounds on linen, it's pretty special. I think we all remember Dave Pfeiffer's fish. I believe it was a 210. He got it on linen line and a bamboo rod. And that's been kind of the last big one that we know of being caught that way. Of course, the record for the club is 251 pounds by Morehouse back in 1898. So that's our goal for the club, is guys are trying to beat that record. And, it may stand forever.
So it's down.
It's absolutely incredible the way you have to treat that line too. I mean, people don't understand. You are totally enthralled.
Yeah. No, when we push this line, once it's wet, once it has salt water on it, we don't rinse it. We actually like the salt water because the salt water kind of kills bacteria, anything that's going to grow or mold in the line. But we want the line dry. So if we come back from fishing, I've got to take all that line and I've got to spin it off on a spool or something to dry it off. This is actually from the Tuna Club. Dave Pfeiffer gave this to me years ago. I was on the walls there, and this is just an easy way to just literally take the line off a reel, put it onto a drying rack, let it sit there for a day or two, dry, and spin it right back on the reel. And if you take good care of the line, it's going to last you, and guys back in the day, like I said, they had one reel, they had 2 reels. They couldn't afford, all this gear like we have today. So they took care of it. They had to, so when you came back from fishing, you had to, not rinse everything off, but you had to clean your reels. You had to dry your line. It was a little bit of work. And if you're super wealthy, you had all your boatmen do all this work. You had guys that would literally take the rods from the boat and deal with all this stuff. And you would just hop on in your suit and tie the next day. And from Catalina, you'd go back out and try to slaughter some fish.
Isn't that amazing the way they fished back then? It was a gentleman's sport, and guys were fishing in suit and tie.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures are amazing how they were so dressed up. And a lot of guys, they'd go out, catch a fish, they'd come back, they'd clean up. That fish would be waiting for them at the scale. Then they'd show up at the scale to get some of these great pictures. So That's why the pictures of guys actually pulling on the fish are just so special, right? Because number one, they're rare, right? There's so rarely were there guys that were out on boats that had the camera equipment in the 1920s to be able to get any kind of imagery, you know. This is just some of the stuff that we have in the collection. This is a more modern photo, but you know, old guys pulling on fish. This is just these are just big blown ups that from Zane Gray's collection. This is Florida. Find something good if you're gonna look in here.
Right. Well,
this is kind of a cool picture. I don't know if you can really see this one, but look at the size of this marlin. Okay, this may be Captain Mitchell's world record marlin being pulled onto the boat. Look at the width of this fish here. I don't know if you guys can see that.
You can see
but the size of this. So we may have something written on the back of this photo that may help us know what's in here. No, it's just there's nothing written on the back. So Zane Gray did all their own photography. Most of the stuff they did in their own house. They would blow stuff up. So here you can see this photo was used in a book. That's why it's got Zane Gray's writing on it, page numbers, things like that. And then here's the photo. So that appears in one of the books. This is a really famous marlin photo, obviously. I'm not sure what fish that is, but anyways, these were just some odd photos that didn't fit anywhere else when I was scanning them. That's why they're in this piece. So there's really nothing special here. If you want to look at something, I'll find a couple.
Yeah. Fun stuff, right, Dave?
Yeah, that is so cool. Thank you, Steve, for bringing us in on this. That's pretty bitchin'.
Steve loves talking about this stuff, so you don't have a shortage of that. If you ever want to talk to him about it, you could sit with him for hours. He loves this stuff. That's just it's amazing.
Yeah, it's phenomenal photos. It's just in the history in that room is incredible. Most of that stuff had been fished for years before you attained it, right, Steve?
Oh yeah. Most of the reels they've been pretty well used. A couple of them, you know, you might get lucky and guys didn't put a lot of fish time on them, but yeah, that's Hemingway when he was young.
Oh wow.
So, you know, it's really interesting. Hemingway always thought of you know, Zane Grey as kind of you know, a world-renowned fisherman and maybe not so great an author. And Zane Grey kind of thought of Hemingway as, you know, maybe even a better author, but not as good of a fisherman. Too. And they always wanted to fish together. They never did.
Oh wow.
There's a couple letters back and forth where they were trying. Yeah, I'm not even sure what these are. Oh, that's Merv Griffin, apparently.
It is.
So
with a
sailfish.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Endless.
Yeah, the amount of, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of photos. It's amazing how much they shot, how much was destroyed. Most of the Zane Grey photography was lost in fires at Altadena before 2025. That one.
That's a big.
That's Hemingway again.
Giant tuna fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't show the gear that you've caught it on.
No, that's what's so special about some of these photos. They're so clear when you can zoom in and see the fishing reels and know what reel it is and see the screw, what angle the screw's at, so you can match it up with the reel in somebody's collection.
Yeah, fun.
But yeah, I think Michael Folks and I were going to probably do some type of maybe a documentary on the film, and maybe weave it in with a lot of the stills and try to do something with it. I still haven't been able to see the film. It's kept in a climate controlled vault. So I've got 300 of Zane Gray's, you know, canisters of film, that we're going to go through. About 2 or 3 dozen are specifically fishing films. The rest are Westerns. But those fishing films could be epic. I'm not even sure what's on there.
Wow,
So
that's
we know that there's a color, 1936, some of the first color fishing saltwater films probably ever shot are probably there. So
it's like a Christmas present for us.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in the next, hopefully before the end of the year, we're going to at least extract the fishing film so we can hopefully digitize those, protect them. I mean, that's the big thing. All this stuff is slowly decaying, slowly will be nothing. All, these thousands of photos that I painstakingly scanned, you're looking at them and they're getting a little bit white. They are starting to lose. Anything that was done 100 years ago, 120 years ago, that stuff starts to fade, and it's just a matter of time. So at least we were able to kind of freeze in time all of that stuff. They'll continue to deteriorate, but at least we have the scans.
Oh, absolutely. That is phenomenal that you have all that stuff. I can't wait to get a look at some of this video that are these old movies that you have. You and Michael sit down.
Yeah, these were so basically Zane Grey, his family, kept all of their films, obviously, and these were films, because he did shoot several movies, fishing films that are known. White Death was shot in Australia and was a movie. You can go on YouTube and see sections of that film. So, but these are all the masters, the originals. So everything that you see of Zane Grey fishing, that's a copy of a copy of a copy. So now we have access to those originals. We'll get them digitized, and then from there, we'll have all that media. So I'm excited to see what's there. I know some of the labels on it are him fishing in the Rockies, the Umpqua River, Florida, New Zealand, Australia, color fishing expedition in Tahiti. So that's what I think. It's 1936. So I don't think there was much color film being shot, let alone on a boat, in the middle of the ocean fishing. That's what makes it so amazing, to be able to have a film crew follow you everywhere in the world and be able to shoot these films, take these photos. That's what really makes them kind of cool. And it's not just fishing, right? You see how they set up camp. You see what they're eating. You see all the stuff that's kind of not just them on a boat fishing, but the rest of it, because there's so much more than just fishing, right? You're traveling to Australia. Just getting there, it's going to take you weeks and weeks. And what happens on the boat between here and there, it's all documented in these photos, which makes it so interesting.
Absolutely. I'm super excited, like I keep saying, just to get a glimpse into what the heck was going on back in those days. And then the fact that people don't quite understand what it was like to gather all that equipment that it took to make the videos and to take the picture, or not videos, but film, and to take that on an expedition like
back then. Their boats were going, the skiffs they had, they'd be lucky to get, 8 knots out of them. The big boats were often wind power or barely steam power. One of Zane Grey's first boats was one of the faster boats making the crossing, but it was a sailboat, and he repowered it to have motors on it, and he ruined the way the boat ran. And he didn't have much. He spent a lot of money, like a lot of us. He spent a lot of money buying boats and trying to retrofit them perfectly for what he wanted to do, and it just destroyed the boat. And he was better off building from scratch if he had the time. He never had the time. He always wanted it tomorrow.
Yeah, like most of us, we want it now. We don't have time to wait. So now that we're talking, we've kind of caught up. This ReelQuick system that you guys are putting together now for the Winthrop bent butts. What is that like? What are we doing now?
Winthrop bending butt.
Okay.
So you've seen this, Dave, but the newest part of this thing is we had this going on the way it is now. Here's the part where the tip goes in, so all your guides are here. And we've had the Winthrop piece that we had before. It slid off the front like this, no problem. What we were not able to do before was reverse this for those people that are scared. People that are scared that the pin isn't designed right and this reel is going to go flying through their guides. So we just redesigned this piece and we raised the dovetail up just enough. And I'm not sure if you guys are going to see this. There's a locking little nubbin right here that has to fit into the keyway on the reel seat right there. And so we reversed it. We made those notches on both sides now. So I could take this and reverse it, put it on the other way. Let's back it up here, slip it in. And now it's on the other way. So the foot on the reel has to be reversed when we reverse it, but I can still show you how it goes on here now. And maybe I can. There we go. We're using a push pin today, you guys. Anybody that doesn't want the pin that's got the slot, we got you covered, guys. It's not going to pull up and over this, and the pin's not going to turn. So there we go. Now we have this thing facing the other way, and now this can't come off even if the pin fails. It's up against the I can't get this out. It's up against the wall now. Let's see if I can show you guys how it's up against that wall. Can't come off now.
And the reason it was designed the other way initially, where the reel would only slide off the front, was every time somebody undid a pin, they would let the reel slide and drop on the deck of the boat. So that's the only reason that we reverse it out in the front. That way, something sitting in a rod holder vibrating, it's never going to drop, right? Because it's up against that. Now, that gave some people concern about it going this way, but the test we've done, it's going to take more pressure to break this than you would have to put hundreds of pounds of drag, probably close to 500 pounds of drag on this to snap and break that pin when it's machined in aluminum. So it's just not going to happen. You're not going to break it. But for anybody who wants it reversed for whatever reason, you can do it both ways. And the nice thing about this is now anybody who fishes this bending butt can literally buy this one piece, buy the foot. Now you've got this whole quick interchange on your bending butt without having to buy new rod or new reel. Everything is already there. You're just taking the tip from the existing system or your existing bending butt, sliding this piece on. Now you've got that ability to swap out whatever reel you want on and off of the bending butt in a second. And again, having that connection that's solid and none of this clamp hanging from the bottom of the
clamp nonsense. Yeah. Dave, so
thank you very much for that.
Also, that the glue on the 23 and the 27 millimeter glue on reel seat can be reversed too. Put it on the other way, you guys, if you have any qualms or issues or any worries that the pin just somehow, stainless steel pin is just going to fail somehow. It's not going to. We've been using it for 6 years, but have at it, flip it, do whatever you want to do. It works perfectly like that also.
Right. And thank you for explaining it better, even though we've been explaining it for, I don't know, almost a year now, me and you, Daniel. It's kind of nice to have Steve in here explaining it a little bit better because of the fact that you've been so involved in this big game fishing thing as a historian, Steve. As you see this ReelQuick system evolving, it's kind of hard to imagine rods. They didn't think of this a long time ago, huh?
They did. So as I mentioned, Kowalski, and certain reel manufacturers actually, I mean, these were super high-end custom, they were only making 10, 15 reels. Some of these big Hardys, these big 8.5-inch Hardys, the biggest that was made, those reels, they only made 12, 15 of those reels. But they were making reels that were specific to the rod and would click into place, would lock into place as one. They just got away from that. It wasn't practical when you have thousands of fishermen now. So where this industry might go someday is a universal foot, right? If every manufacturer agreed, hey, let's all use the same foot, right? Just like with your charging thing on your phones, right? Wouldn't life be so much easier if we all at least had the same foot? Then every every foot manufacturer or every reel seat manufacturer, rod manufacturer knew what they were dealing with and could make that system fit better. So I think hopefully what we're trying to do is at least show the industry, hey, if we could standardize this, have something that connects and we all are on the same page, it's going to be better for everybody. Will we ever get there? I don't know. But we'll be able to do it in a limited fashion with ReelQuick. But maybe someday Shimano and Accurate and all these guys say, hey, it does make a lot of sense. Let's agree to have a standardization of our feet. So we only have 3 types or whatever it is. And that way, everything fits better. We all have that problem where we're trying to take a reel and put it on a rod and go, this just doesn't fit right. Now I got to really tighten down on those clamps, and the whole thing just isn't that perfect fit that it should be. Nowadays with all the manufacturing that we have, the ability to 3D print metals now, it's just a matter of time. In fact, our whole product will change at some point, because at some point we're going to be able to hit a button on a 3D metal machine and be able to print these parts in metal. We really can't do it in carbon fiber. We can for 20 pound, 30 pound and less outfits. We make some super lightweight stuff. But if you're fishing saltwater above 30, we want them machined in aluminum. We know it's going to take 500 pounds of pressure to break it. Nobody's going to do that. Your arms will come out of your sockets before the product fails.
Absolutely. Yeah. The thing about it, people to say all the time about that pin and it going the wrong way. But like you said, you guys, you can't even imagine when you loosen that up and that reel falls on the deck, what a pain in the ass that is. So that's why they did it the other way.
And we didn't know until we were on a long range boat. We took it on there and we heard the sound a couple of times. We handed out all the rods for everybody to use. And every once in a while you'd hear that, oh shit, you'd hear this clunk. I go, what the hell happened? Oh, I was going to take the reel off. And, so we said, you know what, let's just reverse it. And, we broke ones that were made in plastic. It took over 40 pounds to break them in the carbon fiber, over 40 pounds for a new one to break in the carbon fiber. Now over time, stuff degrades. So, but stuff machined in aluminum, every machinist and every kind of somebody is way smarter than we are in terms of metal fabrication and strength and all that has said, this isn't going to break. This isn't going to fail. Well, we've tried to break it. All
right. And I don't think people quite understand that pin is so strong. I have 2 of them down here in Cabo. We fish with it all the time, but you guys are worried about something that's not even worth worrying about, because
I agree. I wouldn't have even brought it up personally. I don't think it's an issue.
Well, no, but so many people do. But the thing is the way we did it forever, putting on the ferrule and tightening the screws. I don't know how many times, and I'm just catching rooster fish in the surf, or I'm just catching Dorado, and I have to tighten those ferrule screws so many times. And no one's ever even talked about, what if the reel comes off and goes flying through the guides? But you guys have a system that's way better than anything out there. And people go, well, what if? Well, dang, if we spent our whole life what if, and we'd never do anything.
And you can see plenty of fails on conventional gear. We've all seen a bending butt fail, or a AFCO butt just literally just bend in half. We've seen videos. If it can happen, it will happen. Now, I think what we'll have to do, we'll just have to break one. We'll attach it to a train. We'll attach it to a locomotive and a tank or something. And we'll just try to separate it that way. But I think that's what we need to do, Dave. If there's any inkling of issue out there, let's break one. We'll do it on video. We'll post a YouTube video of us breaking one. We'll take the small one, not even the big one. We'll break the small one. and show what it takes, the amount of pressure to break it, and that should ease those. And plus, everybody who's using it machined in the aluminum, happy. Nobody's had an issue with it yet. So,
well, that is good news for me to know that, because there's so many people that they want to look for the flaw in it. There's no flaw in this, gang. It's just, it is what it is. And it's the pin. The pin is the only moving part once you put the rod on there. But the pin, there's nothing. There's nothing in. I can take it off and put it on with my thumbnail, like Daniel and I did it at the show 100 times. It's so bitchin'. I just love that you're not tightening up the ferrule screws and you're not putting a clamp on. And then rail rods. Come on. I mean, you and I, we grew up, don't let the rod touch the rail. I think it's crazy nowadays that everybody uses the rail. But there's nothing on the rod that's going to mar the owner's rail. If you're
having all that smooth on the bottom and plus what you find yourself doing, which I didn't realize until this, especially on the lighter rods, is I find myself holding the rod literally under the reel. But when there's that big clamp, whether you're forward or you're behind it, and I just know, oh wow, this is just kind of natural. This is kind of where my hand wants to be holding this rod. And if that clamp was there, I'd have to go above or below, and it's just a little more fatigue. And everything over time, I don't care if it's 4 ounces, right? A little bit over time, if you're stand-up fishing and you're actually holding one of these things, everything gets heavy after 2 or 3 hours. We were trying to take, in fact, we did. We took the side plates off a big 80 wide accurate, because we were thinking, well, maybe we could carbon fiber the frame of the reel, or do it in titanium and try to take all the weight off of it. It just got a little bit too crazy trying to do that. But we were always trying to eliminate weight. Any place where we can make something lighter and or stronger in the process, hey, we're all for it.
Yeah, and as you're doing that, you're finding out that you're actually making a better product for the boat. It's cleaner, easier to use. It's not going to, at the end of the season, they're not going to have to varnish the rails and oil the rails and cut off a bunch of wood, because all the ferrule guides have grinded that down to nothing.
The other big part of it too is if you're a yachty guy, now you can have all your rods, clicked into space on a board or on a slide out. We designed this kind of what I call a spice cabinet, right? Where you have a narrow that slides out of a wall. And these things are all clicked into space with all the guides suspended in space. Nothing's touching anything, right? Because all you're clicking to space is just that reel seat onto a receiver. So you can store these rods very close to one another, fit a lot of rods in a small amount of space without the guides ever touching anything, vibrating on something while the boat's underway. And the same thing with the reels. The reels can all lock into place on the wall. You've seen it with conventional reels on some of these high-end yachts where they have them strapped in on the wall, but we'll have little receivers. We have them on some boats. We have them on my boat, where the reels will just lock in and just hang on the wall, and you need them, just undo it, pop it off, and you're ready to go. So there's some great storage options where you can really store your gear nicely. Nothing's ever gonna be rolling around, banging into something else. It's all going to be secured, and when you need it, takes a second to attach it. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Being able to take a reel, have it on a rod in literally a second, versus the time it would take to screw things together, put clamps on. And there's always that option of something falling through a scupper hole. It's all happened to us, losing a screw or losing a part. The ability to do that quickly is definitely a plus. And we saw that when we were long range fishing, popping a reel off, bringing half a dozen reels inside for the crew to work on and do wind on leaders or whatever, grabbing that reel in the morning, popping it right back onto the reel, or go, oh, wait a minute, I'd rather have this reel on that rod. No problem. Boom, boom. In 2 seconds, you've done it. So I think when Daniel and I first got on the boat, we had a little race, and I was able to put all my gear together with rods and reels, everything connected together. And one guy was still working on trying to get that last, screw tightened on the clamp on his first one, so it's definitely can be a big time saver, but the smoothness, the solidness of the connection is really, really, especially rail fishing, like you said, not having anything underneath that rod. Especially when rods are being handed in the chaotic moments, we've all seen rods are over under, hand me this, hand me that, grab this, it's just a smoother, less things to get hung up on something.
Yeah. And another thing I've seen over the years is the reel doesn't, and every reel's different. It doesn't set right on the seat. It's still got a little bit of movement. I don't care how high end you are.
Well, because the diameter of every reel seat's, a little bit different, and every foot, the radius on every foot's a little different. They've tried to make some flat seats where the seat's flat on top and the foot, but again, everybody's got to be in agreement. You got to match the foot with the other side.
With the reel seat company.
Yeah. So, that's just, nobody's going to cooperate, and that's not going to happen. That's the one thing that I was telling Daniel that is the killer on any system is when you're rail fishing and you're literally, this is on reverse, but when you're pushing down, you've got this rod rail and you're literally pushing down, you're putting so much pressure on the reel seat to do this. And then you're pulling up. Now you're doing the opposite, doing that. So whatever tiny bit of play you may have every time you turn the handle, you're making it a little bit worse. And it's just a matter of time before something, finally starts to loosen up. And that's again, the beauty with ReelQuick. Once that connection is locked, it doesn't have that. It's taken that away. So the rod may do this, right? But the reel isn't doing it on the connection. And that's the key. And that's going to keep you fishing that connection for 6, 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever it takes to kill that fish.
Absolutely. And it matters, gang, because every time you put a little torque on there, like Steve was saying, the next time there's a little more torque. There's a little more play. There's a little more play. And you guys see that a lot on the long range boats when you guys have been working with the reel for 2 or 3 or 4 of those bigger fish. Every time that little twit, it just gets a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So, gang, I'm going to throw the QR code up here for ReelQuick. You can check out all the products like Daniel and Steve are saying. They kind of make it so that it fits every single rod and reel that you can come up with. They have a reel that's going to fit on every single reel seat because they make them custom built to the reel. The reel seat.
Every reel's different. Every reel's a little bit different, unfortunately. So we have to look at each one. We redesign our feet to adapt to it, and we're ready to go. And if a new reel comes out, we'll do what we need to do to be able to produce a foot for it.
There you go, gang. You can't get any better than that. If you're looking for just a little bit better mousetrap or a lot better mousetrap, this is the answer. This is the answer. ReelQuick is definitely the answer. It's a phenomenal product. I stand behind it, and I'm pretty happy that I'm involved in this at whatever level it is. And from now on, we're going to be showing this on the Thursday shows on the Rod Building Show, which is going to be absolutely spectacular because the Batson Company and Doc Ski and Tiffany, who's one of the best rod builders in the world, these guys are going to be standing behind this product too. So on Thursdays from now on, you're going to see the ReelQuick system. You're going to be talking about it a lot with Tiffany and Oliver Rod Builders, and everybody that's building rods today are going to be seeing what we're talking about as we move forward on this. One thing I got to talk about, Steve and Daniel, is on the 6th of November, gang, we have a huge Fish and Game meeting, Fish and Game Commission meeting on the 6th of November. And what I want you guys to understand is we need to show up to this discussion meeting because once again, and now they've hidden this, it's hidden way down inside of here, but I see it and I'm talking to you about it and you can go look. It's on the general discussion, section 8. They're going to be talking about MLPs again. They're going to be talking about MLPs. We get to talk. That's all I'm saying is we all need to be at this meeting. We need to talk about MPAs. We don't need another closure in the state of California, gang. I don't care what you think or what you say because no closures are good for us. It's called control, and they're trying to control us by taking away our rights to fish. And if you don't see the big picture here, gang, Steve and I and Daniel will tell you, we've seen them take so much away from us over the last 15 or 20 years. To think that they're going to take another piece of California away from us, Steve?
Well, look how they do it. The way they do it is they're going to look at where do you fish? Where are people fishing the most? That's where you can expect your next closure.
It's sad. It's absolutely sad. And people don't understand. Like, one of our members sent me the message and he goes, Dave, I don't see where they're going to have a discussion about the MP because it's so far down and it's so far in that it's hidden, but it's section 8 of the general discussion. And if you click on it, then you go, oh my God, they hid it way in here. Yeah, because they don't want us to be there. They don't want us to be a part of this. And so I'm going to talk about it till the 6th. I'm going to talk about it, try to get you all to come. It's a Zoom meeting, so you can be a part of it and you can express your feelings. That's all this is about, is discussion. And if no one shows up for the discussion, guess what?
Yeah.
They decide to close it, they'll just close it now because there's no opposition. No opposition. It's crazy. It's crazy what I'm sorry. I'm just blown away. I just cannot believe that they got it hidden so far down inside there, Daniel, that they hid it. And you guys go look after the show. If you grab that QR code right there and you go to the part general discussion at the very bottom and then click on that and then read and you'll go,
holy moly.
You're right. They did hide it. Yes, they did, gang. And I wouldn't lie to you. And we just want you to show up and voice your opinion. That's all we want. Just tell them you don't agree with any more closures unless you have some science to back it. Me and Daniel and Steve, we're all about science.
Or how about if you want to create a closure, maybe give up one of the closures that has been in place for the last 2 decades, right? Because once you create a closure, it never goes back. You'll never get it back.
No, and they told us when I know it's hard to believe that someone lies, but when they took it away 20 years ago, they said they were going to revisit it in 5 years, and they were going to, and we all showed up 5 years to the day, and we were all in the meeting, and we're going, what? And they go, yeah, well, we decided we're just going to keep it closed. Why? Well, we don't have the resources to do the science on it. So what are you talking about, gang? We want to see some science. We want total, what's the word I'm looking for? Total
clarity.
Disclosure. We want disclosure. Tell us why you're going to close it. What's the good thing that's going to come out of this closure? I want to know, because I'm all about catching fish. I want to go catch fish.
We all want to protect our resources.
Right. You know. But me and you and Daniel, we know no matter how good of a fisherman you are, you can't affect the population of the fish in the ocean with the fishing pole. Not even you, Steve.
They don't need to worry about me. At least not this year.
All right.
Maybe 26 will be a little better.
All right, cool. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this show today. Daniel, Steve, thanks for taking us down a little bit of history and into your museum and checking out all the cool stuff you have and showing us a little bit more about ReelQuick and making it more transparent so that we understand how ReelQuick can help us to catch more fish the next time we go fishing.
We appreciate you, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you on Monday for another great show. Oh, wait a minute. Tonight, we got dueling live video. We got Pablo fishing live in Mission Bay, and we got Justin fishing live in Long Beach Harbor. Both guys going off at about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Make sure you tune in to the live fishing shows tonight.
Are we placing bets on that?
On who's going to catch more? Yeah, we should do that. We should have a side bet.
Biggest
little competition.
We can get FanDuel to come on and be a part of that. That would be rad.